Going over how to 10x your podiatry practice. Today I'm going to talk about the 6 technology tools that will 10x your practice effectiveness. Is when patients make an appointment to the office, I can give my front office staff access. Let's say the new patient, I call it a new patient wow kit, like things about the doctors. So each of the pre-surgical discussion, I think that's called really good informed consent. So going back to how I use the patient presentations is why it's kind of a technology is it's made my life a lot easier. It's helped me reduce getting sued. Hi, Don here with Podiatry Practice Mastery. I've been going over how to 10x your podiatry practice. Today I'm going to talk about the 6 technology tools that will 10x your practice effectiveness. I'm kind of a technology geek. I like to make my life easier, and I tend to find that paying a little bit for technology can really save a lot of time and make your life a lot more efficient. So I'm going to go over 6 of these. I'm not sure if you're using any of them. They are all kind of pretty reasonable in terms of price. So let's start with the effectiveness number 1. I would tell you first the challenge that we had. So the challenge was we had to log into our computers, probably 100 times a day. And it was a pain for us to log in because we had to log into the computer and then log into our medical record, which was Athena. And we tried a couple of different things that didn't work. We thought about one of those card systems like they have at the hospital, but they were very expensive. We had to have password. We can't log in. You have to have a login, and we were tired of logging in. So what we found, the best thing we found is something that it's a little USB thing that you put in each computer, and each of the doctors, they have something like this. It's called the Gatekeeper. So what happens with this is as I get close to the computer, I just hit enter and it logs me in, and I do the Windows L and it logs me out of it. Each one of these is, I think, about $50 or $100, and it includes the USB and it includes the technology to set it up. In the beginning, it was kind of a pain because if 2 doctors are in the same vicinity, it might log you in for a different doctor. Under your accounts, you have to choose yours. You also can't lose this thing because if they log in, they can get access to a lot of things. So you don't want to forget it. So, for example, if a doctor leaves their fob here at the office, what we do is we tend to log them in, and we put a funny screensaver on all the computers saying the IT elf was here, and you shouldn't forget your fob at the office because someone could break into the system. So that's a bad thing about it. Like I said, about $150, I think you would do one for each of the doctor. We do not do it for the staff. We do it just for the doctor. So that's the first technology tool. The second technology tool, which I've talked a lot about, and it's called Patient Education Genius, or PEG. I'll tell you the backstory behind this. We used to use a different technology that went out of business. And it was a technology where we could send out patient education information, little videos and things like that. That one went out of business. We were looking for another one, and I haven't found anything as good as this. So it's called Patient Education Genius. What you can use it for, it is, imagine it connects to your medical record, okay? And you can log in from your medical record into it, and you can send patient information. So for example, you can send them information about plantar fasciitis, about Achilles tendonitis. You can send PDFs, you can send videos that you upload, you can send links to videos on YouTube. You can pretty much send anything that you want to send them. A couple of cool things is when it sends it and almost like an intro to a portal, and they get that email, or they can do an email or text message. Now it automatically pulls over their email and their text message from the medical record. So that's kind of a cool thing. And also when you send them the stuff, it actually documents it in the chart. So it says the patient got this and this and this, and you can log in and you can look at how many times they look at it. Okay. So that's one of the benefits. It's kind of a pain to set up because you have to put in all the information. But once you put everything in, then it's accessible. So what I did is I put it all in alphabetical order. So for example, information on ABI, I'm just looking at it right now, ABI, Achilles tendonitis, AFOs, ankle sprain, arthritis. So all of these diagnoses, they have these little folders, and within the folders, I put in the content. So that's one benefit to Patient Education Genius. The second thing is currently I'm using a scribe, and now I've given access and I've given simplified resources, like one resource per diagnosis to my scribe, and they can do the same thing. They can send it out in my name, and they get that information. And I find it's much more beneficial to send it to patients via text message because it's a lot higher open rate. So another cool thing is that when they get the email, it actually has information about the information, and then has a few links underneath it. So it has a link to log into the patient portal, how to make an appointment, how to text the office, and how to give a review. So those things can be there. Another cool way you can use Patient Education Genius is on the last visit, if they had a good experience, you could send, hey, could you give me a review? And you could send them the actual review link so they could send that to you. So it's manual. And you can ask for reviews. You can ask them, you can send them videos on YouTube to subscribe to your YouTube, anything that you really want to do. If you use Amazon as an affiliate, you can send them the link to the Amazon or any other things that you sell. You can send them a direct link to that. And then finally, the other thing that I'm planning for the future is when patients make an appointment to the office, I can give my front office staff access. Let's say the new patient, I call it a new patient wow kit, like things about the doctors. So each of the 4 doctors in the office would have a link. And so before patients come in for their first appointment, I can send them information, or my staff would send them information on me or on my partners. And what that does is that positions us before they come in. So I could send them information that they can get my resources and they can start learning before they come in. But you can also send them information about, let's say, the webinars that you've done, articles that you've written, ways to position yourself to the patient before they come in. So this is something that your staff can do. It documents it, sends them a text message. I haven't figured out a way to do that with my EMR, but that is a cool tool called Patient Education Genius. Okay. Next thing is the technology tool is doing macros. So macros are discussions on how to do things. I think every medical record has these, but everything that you write out, it should be in like a quick text or a macros, whatever you want to call it, depending on the EMR. I have made hundreds of these, and I continue to make them. I do them for discussions like on plantar fasciitis, but I also, for example, do discussions. We recently had a webinar where I talked about different types of things of training a new doctor. And someone gave me a tip about doing a 4mm punch biopsy on porokeratomas. And so I already had a lesion excision procedure template. So I just copied and pasted it, and I put in there the punch biopsy, the 3 or 4mm punch. So you have to kind of get used to making them. Like for mine, I can add in if it's a little, I do brackets, and I can add in if it's a 3 or a 4mm. It links to the procedure that you're doing as well. So the actual procedure links to the procedure for the billing tab. So all of those are ways of using macros. I find macros really save you a lot of time, especially when I used to do notes for myself. I could pull in the procedures, I could pull in the different macros of teaching things of what I'm kind of going over. Even for patient education things, you can put in different types of macros as well that make it a lot easier. So taking your time for the macros, if you want to get mine, you can go to podiatrypracticemastery.com /EMR, capital EMR, that's electronic medical record, and you can get all of my macros, all of my templates, everything for training a scribe is in there. Okay, so that is number 3. The third technology is making use of your medical record. Number 4 is, I'm hitting on this again because I use it so much, it's my patient presentations. So patient presentations, you can get it at patientpresentations.com. Getting these presentations, I find it's a technology that really simplifies your life. Basically, all patients, let me just tell you the backstory. The backstory was initially when I was seeing patients, I had a difficult with a surgical case, right? So a surgical case went bad, and then they kind of accused me of not getting a good consent, meaning I consented them right before, and I didn't go over all the details. So on my first presentation, I went back and I thought, well, if I could do it over again, what would I have done? And I said, well, I would have done a much more detailed pre-surgical discussion. So my first presentation was this pre-surgical discussion thing that I do that made my life a lot easier. Okay. And so I'm going to try to show you what it looks like, this pre-surgical discussion for you. Let me just share my screen here so I can show you what it looks like. Okay. So here is the patient presentation tool. You can get that if you go to patientpresentations.com. And this is the one that I did initially. And now, just a few tips. My first one was black and white, made on Google Slides. Okay, so it was really poorly made. Then I paid someone over on Fiverr to do this for me. So I paid them to design this for me. I didn't design this. I had something black and white on regular slides. They put the pictures and everything. So here I go over the whole pre-surgical discussion, different surgical questions, before surgery, during surgery, anesthesia, what type of block, dressings, after surgery, what they're going to wear, shoe cover, medications. I put a little reminder in here to check the prescription drug monitoring report just to, so I remember to do it. Pain medication after surgery, important questions about like DVTs and things like that, possible complications that could happen, and things like that. So this was the first presentation that I made. And you can kind of use my own if you want, if it helps you. This has really saved me a lot of time. So every patient, when they come in for a pre-surgical discussion, which is usually 30 days before the surgery, I actually have them, I go over that presentation. I sign the consents with them. So I do it prior in that visit. I look at their x-rays. I prescribe the medications, and the medications then arrive the day of surgery or a few days before surgery. And I can post date them within my medical record. So I can do all that. And they can have a copy of this pre-surgical discussion. I think that's called really good informed consent. So going back to how I use the patient presentations is why it's kind of a technology is it's made my life a lot easier. It's helped me reduce getting sued. And I think it's just better medicine. So once that worked really well, I then said, well, I really like doing these. Can I make one for another condition? And the next condition I found very frustrating to treat was plantar fasciitis, because there were so many different treatment options. I found many times I was rushed when I saw a patient with plantar fasciitis. If I had 5 minutes, they'd get the 5-minute spiel. If I had 10 minutes, they'd get the 10-minute spiel. Okay. And so a lot of times they'd just be getting a cortisone injection and stretching exercises, and that was it. So I made my presentation, and it really slowed me down, helped me to be much more methodical. And then I made that checklist that I tend to use on patients, which you can look at that presentation if you want as well. So that checklist has really helped me to slow things down and be more comprehensive for patients. So that is number 4, the fourth tool that can help you. The 5th tool that can help you with your practice is YouTube. And these, for example, are going to be on YouTube. They also go on my blog for Podiatry Practice Mastery. But even for my own office, we have a couple of other YouTube channels. One's for Central Massachusetts Podiatry, where we put our webinars there. And the other doctors put their things they want to link to. Once then they link to them, but they send them it through Patient Education Genius, as I mentioned before. I also have one for Dr. Pelto where I put YouTube videos on there. The main purpose I use YouTube for are making my own content that I give to my own patients. So if I'm going to want to give information about plantar fasciitis or Hagman's, I'll record that actually presentation that I talked about before. I record those and I put those on YouTube, so then I can share the presentation, the actual slides when I'm with the patient, but then afterwards, I can send them a link to the video. So that's how I use the videos. I send it to them via Patient Education Genius. You can just as easily, if you want, you can put it on your website, take the video, embed it in your website, and then you can refer patients, hey, why don't you look in the video on plantar fasciitis? That'd be an easy way to use YouTube. I find that YouTube, you're not going to be a YouTube star. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, meaning to make any money on YouTube takes a long time. And I'm not doing it for monetary purposes. I'm doing it because I'm not getting patients from YouTube. I'm doing it more as an educational tool for them and a way to produce more. And you can use these videos as well, sending them out in a newsletter via email. There's a lot of different ways you can use your YouTube videos. And so that is the 5th tool. And then the 6th tool I want to talk about of technology is using a blog. So as I mentioned, with a blog, I tend to recommend patients make doctors make content once a week. You can either pay someone to do the blog. You can do videos, which are easier for me, and put those videos in the blog. You can take the video and then transcribe it, and then that could go in the blog. So there's a lot of different ways of using it, but I think doing a blog is very important. Creates new content on your website, but also you can use that blog. So my idea is that you can use that weekly blog and send that weekly blog out to your patients. Okay, that blog can go out to your patients. You're always giving them new content. And then on that blog, you're going to have a call to action, right? And every blog, you're going to say, make an appointment, get more information, reach out to me with any questions you have. Things like that. So I think those are the 6 technology tools. Once again, using the Gatekeeper, which is this thing here, using my Patient Education Genius thing, you have to send out information, using macros efficiently, patient presentations, YouTube, and then using a blog. Those are my 6 technology tools that can 10x your practice. Once again, if you guys found this helpful, if you're on the YouTube, please like this YouTube channel, comment underneath it, and once again, subscribe to the newsletter if you want on at podiatrypracticemastery.com. Okay, thanks guys.